Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host Simon Conboy. Continuing on today with the season preview series, we will be covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the series so far, I'll be going through the projected offensive and defensive starters. If the team were to play a game tomorrow, this is how I think they'd line up. Of course, we do have a while until the season. Things may change, but at this point, I stand by the players that I'm going to list. Then I'll be going through the schedule sort of just very quickly and giving my projected record for the upcoming season. And then my three key factors for this team next season. If they want to compete for the AFC South, make a playoff push, I think these are the areas that are going to have to come together for them. So we'll hop right into the offensive starters. Of course, at quarterback, we've got Blake Bortles, who last year really was poor for me, probably behind only ahead of Brock was Osweiler in terms of the guys who started the vast majority of the season. There's a myriad of issues I personally have with him, but as a player, but of course he's going to be given another chance and we'll see how that goes. Running back, massive improvement. Leonard Fournette was one of my favourite players in the draft. Best prospect I've seen since Adrian Peterson. I'm one of those. I'm firmly agree with people who have that position. I think he's a monster. I think he's going to be fantastic from day one for this team. And I think Yeldon will be, who's a player I've been a fan of since college, and I've been very disappointed with his production. But I think he'll be a great change of pace back. I think he can play out of the backfield, and between the two of them, I think they can be a really good 1-2 punch, possibly as good as any in the league. Wide receiver, we've got the two Allens, Hearns and Robinson, will be coming back as the 1 and 2. I'm not sure either one of them is necessarily a true number 1, but I do think they're both high-end number 2s or low-end number 1 types. So I think they're a very productive pairing. In the slot, I think Marquise Lee has done enough to think he's going to be, for me to think he'll be penciled in as the as a third receiver starting at the moment. I think there's possibility for that to change, but I think he's certainly the favourite at this point. He's been okay for them. Difficult to judge last year based on the overall struggles this team had in the passing game. Mercedes Lewis returns at tight end. His numbers have been down over the last couple of seasons. A few years ago, he was one of the better tight ends in the league, but I do think he's improved as a blocker. I think he's a perfectly acceptable starting player at this point, even if he is on the downswing of his career. The offensive line, this is the other problem area last season. Really did hinder a lot of what this team was trying to do. A whole new pair of bookends for me. Brandon Albert, if he can stay healthy, he'll be the starting left tackle. Very capable of being a good player. It's just health has been the major knock on him for the last 3 or 4 years. But great pass protector and a pretty solid run blocker. Cam Robinson, I'm expecting to start as a rookie. I think he's probably better suited to guard. I do worry about him in pass protection, but he's got the potential to be a great run blocker, and I think that's what this team is going to be looking to do. If he doesn't start at right tackle, I think we'll see him at guard alongside AJ Cann, who's been a bit of a disappointment thus far. They'll be hoping he can step up this year. He was a pretty high draft pick. And Earl Watford is the other projected start at this point. I think he's a below average player, struggles in pass protection for me. As I say, it could easily be Cam Robinson in this spot. And Brandon Linder rounding out the group at centre. Yeah, I don't think he's one of the better centres in the league. I think this interior to me is a major weakness. They'll just be hoping for improved play all around, but I think this is a group that absolutely struggled in both the run and pass game last year, so they'll need to be better. Kicker, Jason Myers, he's a very good kicker, so good job there. This offence. I love the skill positions. I do like this receiving group. I think there's talent there. Maybe not quite a major speed threat. Maybe the only thing missing. But other than that, Fournette is running back. He's a terrifying player, really. Love that pairing. I just worry about the line and the quarterback play. I think it's going to hold everything back. There's still a lot of youth there. Bortles, as I've said. For me, a lot was made of the throwing action, the long wind-up. That is an issue, but I don't think it's the primary issue. You can have a long delivery, if you've got the anticipation, the pocket movement, good decision making and quick decision making, and I don't think we've seen any of those. And when you combine those with a long throwing motion, that's when you get some of the problems that he had. His decision making last year was atrocious at times, and it's a shame because the arm talent is clearly there. He's a big kid, but I'm not convinced. And with an offensive line with maybe one above average pass protector, I do worry. If the run game can really get going, if the run blocking can be sufficient, because I do not doubt the quality of the backs at all, maybe this group has a chance, but I just worry that Bortles and the line are going to sabotage a pretty promising skill group. Moving on now to the defensive side of the ball. At defensive end, I've got Dante Fowler and Yannick Ngakoue as my projected starters. I think I got that name right. I hope so. Fowler's been a disappointment, of course, was very unlucky in his rookie season, but I think last year he was very underwhelming as a pass rusher, especially after some of the pre-season hype around him. Ngakoue actually played pretty well. This is a team that struggled to get after the passer. He was clearly their top pass rusher. They'll be hoping he can take his game to another level next year. Defensive tackle, Calais Campbell for me is a bit of a question mark. He could end up lining up all over the defensive front because he's got that kind of skill set. He's a very versatile and talented player, but I think his primary position will be probably as a free technique actually. Malik Jackson will play alongside him. He's underachieved thus far in his time there, but between him and Campbell, I think this team's going to be very difficult to run up the A-gaps on. Maybe he'll live up to that contract. I'm dubious. Campbell, I absolutely believe he will. I think he's one of the premier defensive linemen in the NFL and has been for a while. Great in both phases, so he's a big plus for this team. At linebacker, I'm convinced the three will be Smith, Posluszny and Jack. What format they end up lining up in, the only one I'm sure of is Telvin Smith. Posluszny or Jack both could be the middle linebacker. I think a lot of it depends on how much of the middle linebacker position Jack grasps. Of course, Posluszny incredibly experienced. He's going to be a safer option in terms of communicating with the defence. But Jack is, of course, supremely talented. Posluszny, I suspect if he's playing outside back, he'll be the guy that comes off the field on passing downs, which I think is fair. Jack and Smith are both supremely athletic. Smith, I think, is a very underrated player. Very good in pass protection, a great sideline backer, very much in the vein of the modern game. Not too many people, I think, aware of him, but he's been a very productive player since getting drafted. And as I say, Miles Jack, if he's fully healthy, I expect him to be a force in the middle of the field. At corner, I suspect we're going to see Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye. That's a given. Bouye, of course, signing a monster contract. Ramsey was very, very promising in his rookie season. Corner is one of the toughest positions to play as a rookie. I think he acquitted himself incredibly well and got better as the season went on, which is what you want to see. Still think he'd be better at safety myself. I stand by that, but it's hard to find corners, and he was very productive. Bouye, between the two of them, not a whole lot of experience, but some very high-end play from them last year. If they can keep that up, this could be a great pair. I've got Aaron Colvin as the third starter. Not sure if that's going to be the case, but I think he's the most experienced of the other guys they've got there. Could be anyone really, but the two studs on the outside, that's what they'll be rolling with and hoping they come together. Safety, we'll see Barry Church, who's come over from the Cowboys, and Sean Gibson, who formerly of the Browns. Gibson has underachieved in Jacksonville, had the one very productive season in Cleveland. Church is a solid player. I don't think this is an exciting pair, but considering the general standard of safety play in the league at this point, I think it's above the league average. So they could be pretty productive there. They should get some help from those corners as well. I think they'll be better against the run than the pass, but as I say, the corner should help out. Punter, Brad Nortman, he gets a lot of work, so I'm sure he'll have another fine season. And yeah, on paper this team does look incredibly talented. They came very high in my paper power rankings. My concerns are really just those edge rushers. If they can get it going, this unit I expect to be very good. I'll be very surprised if they are not very effective against the run. That pair of tackles along with the linebackers, I think there'll be a stout run defence, but I am concerned with their ability to get after the passer. It was a problem last year, and if they struggle like that again, the fact they're going to have two very good corners in all likelihood may end up being rendered somewhat moot. At the end of the day, you can have all the talent you want. If you can't pass rush, you're not going to be an elite defence the vast majority of the time. And Fowler is the key cog in that. So we'll see. Beyond that, I expect this group to get better as the season goes on. I think it'll be tough early. There's a lot of new pieces. There's a lot of youth there. But come the second half of the season, that's when I expect them to sort of start playing like the defence most are expecting them to be this year. So my projected record for the Jags after last year's 3-13 disaster is 5-11. Now the schedule, for me, the first 4 weeks is huge. Of course, the Texans and Titans, division rivals, those two are going to be the favourites to win the division this year. They've got to win at least one of those games. If they can win both of those, they'll be in great shape. But then they've got the Ravens and the Jets, and I personally don't think too highly of the Ravens heading into this season. The Jets, of course, look like a disaster zone. So if the Jags can go 3-1, then they've got a shot. If not, I think things could go downhill. I think they will, simply because I do not believe in Blake Bortles at all. The stuff I saw from him last year concerns me greatly. I'm not sure they're going to be able to overcome that, and what I'm expecting to be, once again, a very weak offensive line. I don't think this team is going to be able to put up enough points. I think the defence, much like I just mentioned, is going to struggle early in the season. Not necessarily struggle, but not play up to what people are expecting. And when you combine that with the poor offence, I just think it ends up sinking this team, costing Blake Bortles his job, and then the team can start to prepare for next year. Could well be wrong, but I just can't see this team being too productive on the offensive side. As I say, the two most important aspects of offensive play, I don't think they have either of them. So that's my thoughts on how that goes. Now, in terms of if this team is going to overachieve, somewhat given away some of those three key areas, but first and foremost, Blake Bortles, he has to show that he is worth sticking with as a franchise quarterback. Of course, this is a brand new front office coaching combination. You've got Tom Coughlin running the show essentially now. He's got no ties to Bortles. That's one of the advantages you get of just coming in and having a very highly touted player who's maybe underachieved. You kind of get that freebie year in some ways, where you can just go, well, he wasn't our guy. If this team doesn't compete for the playoffs, a lot of it's going to be down to Bortles. You would have to think, as I say, I like the skill positions. He has to improve every aspect of his game from last season. I can't even highlight the one thing. He needs to show better footwork, a better understanding of the offense, and just everything he does needs to be quicker than it was, because it really did look like he was, doing everything in slow motion at times last year. The pass rush, as I mentioned, it looks good on paper, but will they be able to generate the pressure? And in particular from the edges, Calais Campbell's going to do his thing, but he's not going to be able to do it on his own. Dante Fowler, of course, as I've mentioned, the big key here. Can he show people why he was picked so highly? I mean, the Jags have been so unlucky with defensive ends over the years. It's just not worked out for them. He's going to be key, and Ngakoue has to continue to develop. And the run blocking. If this offense is going to succeed, regardless of Bortles, even if he does improve, it's going to be because of Fournette. He can be, like Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's more talented than Elliott. Even I think he can do what we saw last year if the run blocking is adequate. Maybe not quite what Zeke did, because Zeke had fantastic run blocking, but this is a guy that I think can be an all-pro runner in his rookie season, as long as he's got some kind of blocking. It doesn't need to be great, it just needs to be adequate, and this guy's going to be fantastic for them. So that has to work out. If those things come together, it's a pretty soft division, it's a pretty soft schedule, and the Jags can certainly compete for the playoffs. But I'm personally, as you can probably tell, very dubious about a lot of those factors. So there you have it. That's your 2017 Jags preview. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. If you agree, disagree, there's any players you think I should keep an eye on or you feel good about, give us a shout. Comment section below. Got the Cover Zero Facebook page. You can find me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. Always happy to talk ball. Coming up this week, of course, we've got 3 more season previews. Who have we got coming up? We've got the Bengals, the Broncos and the Eagles. So getting into some of the teams that could be a bit more competitive next year, or will be expected to. So check those out. Friday's going to be the weekly review as always. Hopefully going to have news for you guys in a couple of weeks, because Friday going to change it up possibly. So stay tuned for those plans. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, all that good stuff. Got 2 weeks worth of season reviews up already. We are going to be covering all 32 teams, so check those out if you've enjoyed this. Check out some of the other stuff. Plenty of other stuff on the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. It's been a pleasure as always. Have a great evening and go Bucks.